During the fall, like many classes before them, the Woodward Oklahoma class of 1992 recently met for their 30th class reunion. And like most small-town reunions, there was a homecoming parade. Friends met for lunch and attended the local high school football game on Friday night. Old friends caught up and reminisced about stories from the past. The class of 92 also met at a local lodge to enjoy food and stories and one other item, a time capsule. A time capsule that everyone had forgotten about, really. It was a dusty Rubbermaid container that was supposed to be opened in 2012 during their 20th reunion, but it was apparently lost and recently found. And here it was. We expected the standard stuff, magazines, music, pictures, and other heirlooms from 92. It was all those items and more. The capsule also contained 3 videotapes. Tapes of what? Well, it seemed no one really knew or remembered what was on the tapes. We didn't have a VCR handy to view them because, well, we weren't expecting them. But I knew what was on the tapes because I'd shot much of the footage 31 years earlier. It was made during a high school event that we called Future Day, and it was actually recorded at the end of our junior year on May 16th, 1991. And what was the footage? Well, I remember it as driving around town showing what the town looked like that day. It was also on-the-spot interviews, asking students, what would they be doing in 20 years? Would they be married? Would they have kids? What kind of job would they have? So I headed home with the tapes after the reunion, and I was going to convert them to a digital format, and after I finished, I thought, I should do these interviews again. The same people 31 years later. Would they be willing to interview again? Did their predictions come true? What was it like living in a small town and being a kid in that video? Well, let's see if we can find out.
Kurt Myers, how you doing?
Good, Mr. Boo. How are you doing?
Have you on? Good. I found some old video, right? It's some old footage, and we're going over it and re-interviewing people from years ago. And I'll kind of tell you what I remember about it, and you can kind of tell me what you remember about it. You did make one prediction. Some people made multiple predictions, but we only got one out of you. And we'll stop for a second. Let's show everybody the footage real quick, and then we will go from there, okay? So here we go. Here's the footage.
So what do you me then? What am I going to be doing for your head coach at the university?
And so you made one prediction that you would be the head coach of the University of Oklahoma.
Yep.
And we have spent 30 years in waiting after all of this prediction, and we want to know, is that what you're doing today?
I failed miserably.
So, but were you in the past? You've just never been the head coach of the University of Oklahoma?
The closest I got is I worked OU football camp for 10 years when I was coaching high school football.
Okay, well, that's it. Okay.
Yes, that's the closest I got there.
Yeah,
But
we have some people giving very serious and some fun answers. Some people say that you'll be superstars, all kinds of fun stuff. But, really what it is just kind of looking back at that time. I think one of the fun things about looking at all that videos and kind of seeing that old footage is, tell me a little bit about that guy at that time. What when you look back and you see him, tell me about who he was in that moment of time at that day. Do you remember?
Well, yeah, I do remember, and I put a lot of thought into this. That guy was so focused on one thing, and it was football. And, I was so serious about everything. Kenny, this, you would be the guy who'd come in there and prod me all the time because you knew that you're serious and you could always get underneath my skin. That was me,
Yeah.
So, and I thank you for it because you probably brought me out of my shell as much as anybody. You and Ryan Moore. But yeah, that guy was so serious and took everything so serious and thought everything was so black and white and was so sheltered in Woodward, Oklahoma, that you just didn't know any different, or I didn't know any different.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, it's funny when people look back. I've heard a lot of people, or some people at least, say that, man, I just, I don't seem as I just seem quite a bit different than I thought, than I perceived myself at the time. Have some people say, well, I was, I was more timid, or I was more this or that. Of course, we were sticking a camera in their face, so that does kind of throw you into shock real quick. But it is interesting to look back and see, how you perceived yourself and then also how others perceived you in that time. But when you look back, what advice would you give that guy standing there if he would listen to you? Most of the time, you wouldn't listen to anybody when you're in that age. But
yeah, first of all, I'd go slap myself.
Yeah.
I'd walk up and slap me and cut the hair off the back of my head. But no, I just say, hey man, take more chances and don't be so serious. Have more fun. I had a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong. Just go, be more open and just look outside of the box. Don't pigeonhole yourself so much.
What made you kind of soften yourself there?
Well, I'll tell you what made it soften me was just going to college and going to the other side of the state. I know some people left the state and went to California, but I went in Northeastern state. Ryan Moore was my roommate. And if it weren't for him, I wouldn't have opened myself, because he was that guy that wasn't afraid to go out and meet new people and go to concerts and go to, stay up late, press the boundaries of things. So if it weren't for him, I'm not so sure I wouldn't have done those type of things. And I wouldn't have had the experiences I had in college and opened myself up. So I give him a lot of credit.
Awesome, Kurt. Awesome. Well, anything else you want to say here at the end? I mean, we're just kind of wrapping things up. I know we had a reunion, and it seems like everybody really kind of came together. And it was a pretty positive experience for everybody that attended. Everyone I've talked to said, man, I really had a good time. And meeting people after I know for me, it's meeting people on a different plane after 30 years.
Yeah.
And, getting acquainted with everybody. Some I hadn't seen in 30 years. Some I'd seen here and there, and then some I'd seen a lot. But it was interesting getting to know people in that way. Is there something that you took from that experience of meeting back with everybody again after 30 years?
Yeah, we need to recruit more people to come, because it was enjoyable. It's just enjoyable hanging out with good people. And I forgot you forget how good the people are where we came from. I kind of get emotional now that I'm old. I get emotional. I can watch a phone commercial where old people talk to somebody and I start tearing up. I did that. I did squash down some exciting tears this weekend because I had such a good time and enjoyed seeing people, and I didn't realize that this would drum up these kind of feelings, and it was awesome.
Yeah, well, awesome. I feel the same way. It was good to see people and just pick up where they were at, and just enjoy the people who they were at that time, or they were at that day and that time, so long ago. But I think that's it, Kurt.
Awesome.
Wrap up, and it was great talking to you and seeing you, and we will go ahead and put all this together, and hopefully everybody will kind of have a nice reflection and see that, yeah, we all kind of, we're young and green, and we've all kind of moved ahead in life, and there's a lot to learn from that. Maybe other people can kind of see it and learn something from it.
I'll tell you what, though, being from Woodward is a special thing, though. I mean, the roots we have and the lessons we learned growing up, and everybody, I tell people all the time, when you're from Woodward, Oklahoma, you're just a little bit better than everybody else anyway.
Well, love you, brother. And
right, love you too, man.
We'll talk to you soon.
All right, brother. Talk to you later.
Hey, Janelle, good to see you. I'm glad that you showed up and are going to kind of share your experience with us tonight and seeing your old video. And I just want to stop for a second so everybody else has a frame of reference. We opened an old time capsule. It had some video in it. I took the video, and what it was us and different people in our class saying what they would be like or what they would be doing in 20 or 30 years. And so what we're doing is we're going back and re-interviewing those people, or the people who are willing to do it. And so let's take a look at your video real quick, and then we'll make a comment on it, okay?
Ask me a question.
No.
Oh. Do I just say what I...
Yeah.
My name is Janelle Marie Fisher. In 20 years, I'll be a psychologist, and I'll be real rich, and I'll have a bunch of kids. And that's all I have to say. That's all I have to say.
Okay, that was pretty interesting. Let's see here. So, Rich, psychiatrist, working psychology, right? And a bunch of kids, right? So, yeah, a bunch of kids. So let's talk about that a little bit. Was the psychologist a real thing? The psychology a real thing, or was that just something that you made up on the spot?
No, it was a real thing that I thought for a long time I wanted to do till I realized what all it entailed. And I'm out on like gory stuff. So I was like, I can't do that. So then I thought maybe I would, then nursing always was interesting to me. Then I kind of started looking into that. I'm like, yeah, still gory stuff involved. I'm out on that. So went to Weatherford for a year to college. And at the end of my freshman year at college, I ended up getting pregnant at 19. So I moved back home and started a family. And it's not exactly what I thought at 17 that my life was going to be, but I don't regret it. I have a great life and love my kids. Just became a grandma for the first time.
Oh, very good. Very good.
Yes.
I figured there'd be pictures in the background. There's no pictures in the background.
Well, there's
Anywhere?
bugs everywhere. They're all
okay. They're all over the place. Okay, I
This
figured.
is
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Every new
That's
grandma
him.
has one within arm's length, I think.
Oh yeah.
I don't think it's a rule. No,
Yes.
go ahead.
I'm a
Very
little
cool.
obsessed with him. But
And
yeah.
so you didn't have lots of kids, right? Or you didn't have a lot of kids? A
No,
bunch of
I
kids.
didn't. No.
You had
not
how
a bunch.
many?
I had 2. I was thinking I wanted like 5 or 6. And once you start having them, you realize it's a little bit more difficult than you thought. So 5 or 6 turned into 2, which I'm okay with. I'm completely fine. Love my family and my life, and didn't,
Awesome.
wasn't what I thought at 17, but I was pretty naive at that age. So
When you look back at that person, who they were in that time, that space and time of where you were at, it's, for me, it was quite a bit different. You looked and, I thought, well, that kid doesn't know anything. He's just trying to make it up as he goes. But tell me about who you were at that time, right? And then just a little bit about, what you would tell that person in the video, that person who you were at that time.
Yeah, thinking about this today and seeing that girl in that video the other day was a very big eye-opener, because that girl, I've never been shy. Don't have a problem with that, but I was very insecure. That girl was very insecure. And that girl, that's something I would tell her, that, you are enough. You can offer people things. I would tell that girl to go for your dreams and not settle. I would tell that girl to listen to your gut, because it's usually right. And the emotional part that hit me today thinking about this is that I would tell that girl to fall in love with herself.
That's awesome.
It took me a lot of years to get, work through stuff. I don't take back anything I've been through, because it made me who I am. But looking at her in that video, it's so surreal, and it was so amazing. And I'm so glad you captured all of that. But yeah, that the last thing I thought when I was thinking about what I would tell that girl is to tell that girl to fall in love with herself.
That's interesting. And I kind of came up with the same thing when I was looking through, talking to a lot of people, or watching the video back, rather. I misspoke there. A lot of people that I thought were pretty confident as teenagers, people that I saw in the videos as I'm walking around talking to them, they all seemed so not confident, right? Most of them seemed, I thought, man, that kid seemed, he's a grade above me. He seemed like he was pretty confident, or whatever the deal is when I saw him. And we would come around the corner with a camera, and they were just very unconfident, right? It just didn't have that it was. And all of them seemed that way. All of them seemed really way more shy to the world than what I thought. And so that's one of the first things. It's funny you saw that in yourself. I saw that in you also, that I thought, she seemed a little more boisterous than what I remember. And I don't know if that was, I don't know.
I saw a very, very nervous girl in that video. Very nervous girl. So that's why I was like, oh, okay, what do I got to say? Okay, I'm going to say it. Okay, all right, I'm done. Bye. Like, that's why I was like, oh, that was very quick, I guess. But yeah, I saw a very nervous girl.
A couple more questions as we go, and do that stuff. I didn't give you all. I didn't want you to know what all questions I would ask or not. So just like you didn't in the first video, right? We'll see if you're less uncomfortable in this one than you were when you were a kid. Okay. What excites you about the future? I think that's it. Unless there's anything else you want to touch or talk about, or anything that you feel relevant after 30 years, after going to a reunion, after kind of having that whole experience. Has it changed anything? Are there any way that you look at things, or any comments or anything like that?
This weekend was actually pretty amazing. I mean, as you probably know, Brendy and I kind of took the lead, like planned everything. And so I've been very excited about it. I'm like, I don't know. I just felt like 30 years. I feel like we've changed a lot. And as people started responding, the people that were responding were some people that have never come before. And so just as time was getting closer and closer, I was so excited. So with all the planning, I wanted everybody to come, just have a very relaxed, awesome weekend and catch up with, people that we knew 30 years ago, maybe hadn't seen in 30 years. So I feel like my expectations were pretty high. And like last week, I thought, man, I hope this isn't like a complete letdown. But it exceeded every expectation I had. It was so great. I mean, and to see people, like, I feel like people that, Brendy and I have been best friends since we were 5. So we've never lost touch. But people that I was close to, in school that I have lost touch with, it was amazing. Like, it picked right back up, I felt like, and just was smooth, easy conversations. I felt like everybody had a blast. It exceeded every expectation that I had. So, like, awesome. I really wish it was this time last week and that we can do it again. I'm kind of sad that it ended so quick, because I just had a blast. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, I had a great time with everything. Everybody was wonderful. It's good to see people just show up and be relaxed and have a nice time, and kind of reorient yourself around people at the age they are now, right? It's like I hadn't seen in 30 years, and I have to get a new introduction to you, but who you are now after 30 years. So it was kind of a whole fun thing of just kind of learning where people are and where they're at and what they're doing. But anyway, that's it. Okay, well, I guess we'll wrap up. I appreciate it. And we'll put this in the archive, and I'm moving on to the next one. And we'll hopefully people have some good answers. Maybe they'll have as good answers as you had.
Well, I hope I did good for your test person.
Yeah, you are.
Okay. Well, I'm excited. I think this is going to be awesome.
Awesome. Talk to you later, girl.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Downtown Maine in Woodward. It's very big, as you can go around and see. It's quite big.
I want to get the Peppermint Lounge. It's the Peppermint Lounge. This is where the bikers and Harley riders. See, there's a Harley. Look at the Harley. Pretty neat, huh?